Okay, so Destiny has officially debated Candace Owens. I have not seen this yet. I would like to see it. I would like to review it, and I would like to give my thoughts.
What are you talking about mainly over the past week or two? What's the stuff that's captured your attention, your eyes the most?
Man, I talk about everything on my show. I mean, obviously, I think the biggest topic for me has been the Diddy lawsuit. It's the craziest thing that's come out, I think, since Jeffrey Epstein. And it's definitely significant because a lot of the work that I do is talking about just, or I guess really asking the question is what's happened to black culture? Because this is not the black culture that I grew up with. And the Diddy lawsuit potentially answers a lot of those questions. So,
Do you say where you grew up?
I was born in White Plains, New York, and I grew up in Stamford, Connecticut.
Okay. What can you catch us up on the P. Diddy lawsuit? I haven't been in this area
What?
as much.
Are you kidding?
My mind has been, I've done Israel
Okay.
Palestine for the last 4 years or 4 months, and then like a whole bunch of red pill stuff before that. So my mind is not.
So, in case
Catch
you
us
guys
up.
have not seen it, you can go over to my YouTube channel. I've been covering it, and if you're there, definitely subscribe. But so essentially, at the end of
Really?
last year, Diddy was dating that girl.
First of all, it's wild that Candace Owens is actually at Destiny's house. Second of all, she's like telling all of his fan base, hey, you guys should go follow me. Don't forget to subscribe, everybody. Really?
Cassie for a long time, about 10 years.
Okay.
And she started making allegations that Diddy was very into some very sexually deviant things, I would say.
Okay.
And forced her to do a lot of things against her will, or drugs, whatever. She files this lawsuit, and basically overnight, I'm obviously being a bit hyperbolic, but he pays her off, so it ends. And then Cat Williams kind of alludes to the fact that more stuff is going to come out in 2024, and then a producer whose name is Rodney drops a lawsuit, and he alleges to have hundreds of hours of footage backing up his claims, and in the lawsuit he actually dropped pictures. So it wasn't just this, because you can always have a frivolous lawsuit, it can mean nothing. And what essentially his lawsuit suggests, allegedly, just for protection here, is that there's a blackmail ring in Hollywood. Diddy is a gangster. On top of Diddy sits Lucian Grange, who is the CEO of Universal Music Group. And this was, for me, one of the wildest parts. He tells a story about one night where Diddy got mad at somebody and just shot them in like the stomach and the hip. He shows the pictures of the blood all around the bathroom because he was right there when the person got shot, and he allegedly went to his knees and tried to help the person. It was Diddy and his son who allegedly shot him. But they said that there's one person that you call when something like that happens, and that guy's name is like Fahim something, and he will come clean it up. The LAPD will write a fake police report, and he shows like how the news then reported that the shooting happened outside, and then it got wiped under the rug. And what's interesting is that guy who you call, the security guy, was the same security person who was one of only 2 people there when Michael Jackson died. Essentially, he wasn't a gay man, but then Diddy found him when he was young. These are the allegations he's making. Again, a lot of photos, like of other rappers. He's named.
This just sounds so unhinged. Like, it just sounds like a drunk uncle rambling about the latest Alex Jones episode at the Thanksgiving dinner or something. Like, that's unironically how it feels here. And I don't even know the validity of her claims. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they're false because I don't know, but like, just the way she's going about explaining it is so bad. It's so bad. It sounds so conspiratorial and so weird. I hope that they don't stay on this bland topic for too long, though.
What do you think? You made a mention that this might be an indicator to things that have happened with black culture. What do you mean by that, I guess?
So there has been just a very obvious corrosion in black culture. Like the music that I grew up in, I was listening to Temptations, Lauryn Hill, like it was all about like family, love. It was real talent. And then something just really shifted, and it all became about derogatory, debased gangster rap. And it's a change that I've noted in a lot of my commentary. And, I think other people had...
Yeah, it's called rap got more and more popular, and it just so happens, it turns out that one of the largest demographics for rap are suburban white guys. And even more so, the biggest demographic of gangster rap are suburban white guys. That's a huge selling block, essentially. Gangster rap sells to suburban white guys who want to feel tough listening to it. Okay, because I know, because I'm one of those suburban white guys. Okay, so that's what happened, is these things sell more. So because of that, you're going to see an uptick in that kind of music. Maybe not the derogatory, like, sexual stuff, but as far as, like, violent stuff or, like, gang stuff, like, yeah, that's kind of like gangster rap. That's pretty popular. And so odds are you're going to see more of that because it sells a lot. It's really that simple. This isn't like an erosion of black culture or something. This is just going where the money is.
ask the question. There's a really, in my view, disgusting artist, just in terms of the stuff that she publishes and the photos that she publishes, named Sexy Red, who they're now making a thing, right? Who makes the decision to sign a Sexy Red? You're telling me you have all the money and all the talent at your fingertips, and you sign a woman who, at her baby shower, 9 months pregnant, however pregnant she was twerking and had her butt cheeks in, like, somebody's face was inside of her butt cheeks. That
Ew,
to me
what?
is very intentional, because you're not signing her based on talent. You're not signing her based on following. You're signing her because it's filth, and you're perpetuating this filth into my community. So it's just something that I've noticed, something I talk about often, that we're intentionally being sold crack. It feels like,
What is the assumption, though, that this is only in Black community? Like, people were complaining about Lady Gaga for a while, too. Couldn't this just be an issue that you have then with Hollywood, like, selling it and capitalizing off overly sexualized, just disgusting crap? Like, isn't that a far better argument than whatever the hell you're doing? You're like, this is being put in my culture. What are you talking about? It's one derogatory musical artist. There's a lot of non-derogatory musical artists, but still, like, this has nothing to do with Black culture.
So, I'm trying to think of which direction I want to go.
Any direction you want. I'm an open book.
Yeah, you're fine. There are okay. So there are like two kind of different ways of viewing this, and I feel like you fall more to one side, then I'll go my side, and we kind of see if we can iron out or figure where we are at. I guess in the middle here. I feel like when you look at the evolution of, when we say like degenerate Black culture or degenerate Black music, I think we're generally talking about like the beginning of hip hop and rap, and then kind of the evolution of that going forward, coming away from like the R&B singers and everybody like in the 50s, 60s, 70s, whatever, right?
Yeah. But hip hop isn't always filth. But yeah, I get your point.
But that seems like
we're
the general.
generalizing.
Yeah. It feels like when I look at music, or if I look at music that people create, oftentimes the music is a reflection of their circumstances. And you can see, especially as America and the Black communities became more conscientious maybe of the ghettos that they'd been kind of pushed into, or the policing situations that they'd had to be a part of, or drugs destroying their communities, et cetera, et cetera. And then those people turning to crime, that you also see the music and the art kind of reflect those conditions. And then those pieces of art that get created, especially the music, end up being like worldwide popular. Like the most popular genre of music in the world is like hip hop and rap. So when I look at people pushing certain stuff today, I'm like, okay, well, we got two really big, in my opinion, I went to school for music, I don't know if you talk about the saxophone or whatever. So we had two really big contributions to the world of music from America. One was jazz, that came basically from the Black community, and then the second was like rap and hip hop. These forms of music become popular. People see that it's popular. They want to get involved. Obviously, the money men, the people on top, they want to kind of continue to push this because it's popular, and everybody around the world consumes it. I feel like there are a lot of market forces at work that kind of perpetuate this and keep this happening. And that feels pretty satisfying to me to explain what's going on. So when we ask, like, why is it a woman twerking with somebody's face in her butt cheeks? Because for
I like how Destiny's answer is pretty much the same as mine so far. Yeah, like, I mean, that's kind of what I said too. Like, gangster rap is really popular because it tends to sell really well to a massive selling block. Kind of the same direction he's going in. But of course, I mean, like, his perspective is definitely going to be more nuanced since he went to school for music.
Reason that's like what the worldwide culture seems to want to see right now.
No.
And then on the other side, it feels like from people, I don't want to just say conservatives, but I'd say broadly speaking, I guess I'll say on your side in general, it feels like there's this idea that there's this much more intentional or like malevolent force working behind the scenes.
Yes, there is. And so I'm going to push back on what you're suggesting here. You're suggesting that this reflects the community, and they're sharing their stories in a way that makes sense. That's completely not true. Okay, WAP does not reflect the circumstances that Black people are living in. Singing about your vagina and how hard it's getting pounded is not the circumstance of living in the hood. I come from nothing. It's not that did not make me feel closer to the circumstances that I grew up in. And unfortunately, that's actually what people are telling Black Americans. Like, actually, it's working the other way. You're putting something, your eyes and your ears are the windows to the soul, and you're basically, when you celebrate someone, and I'm using Cardi B here as an example because I think people are probably more familiar with her than they are with Sexy Red. When you put someone like that on the Grammy stage, which is, again, a decision being made. When I was growing up, the best, most talented people were on the Grammy stage. It was something you could watch with your family. And you still had poor people. You still had, you still had poor people. You still had people that were living in the hood. Okay, we didn't need somebody talking about their vagina in order to feel seen.
Again, so I have a feeling then that Destiny's going to be taking this back then to the market direction. It doesn't have to be just the community telling the story. There are actually issues with the Black community not feeling like rap adequately explains their struggles or anything at all. So a lot of this, again, is money motivated, and that's really what Candace has an issue with. But instead, again, she's taking it this weird ass approach of like, well, it's these malevolent liberal forces. They're trying to wipe out the Black community. They're trying to subvert them with rap music, with somebody twerking. I hate to break it to you, but like music in general, like there have been sexual forms, I guess, of music or genres for a long, long time. If it wasn't rap before this, it was rock and roll. There are other types of music that can be incredibly disgusting and filthy and vulgar or whatever. This is not limited to just rap and hip hop. This is obviously motivated by money, not black culture or something.
So what you're doing is you're setting the stage for younger girls who aspire to celebrities to say, okay, well, if I mimic that behavior, I too can become famous. What you're actually doing is you're setting the idols that people are going to look up to and people are going to think this is what I should aspire to. So it's actually working in the exact opposite way.
Can I ask a question? In that like evolution of things, so if we look at like WAP in particular, hasn't it generally been the case that music is always kind of pushing these sexual boundaries? So it might have been Elvis grabbing his crotch and dancing. It might have been Michael Jackson's dancing is incredibly suggestive, if you've seen that. It might have been in Woodstock, all the loser hippies talking about love, sex, and rock and roll and drugs. Wouldn't like WAP just be kind of like the next evolution in a long chain of...
pushing boundaries is not degeneracy, okay? And so here's what I'll say to you. Why don't you pull up the lyrics to WAP and read them right now?
Well, I don't. Why would I need to do that?
Cool, it's just Woodstock. We're just pushing the boundaries a little bit. You probably never even read the lyrics to WAP.
I know,
because I think Ben Shapiro had a huge thing about it.
He couldn't have said. You may have seen him reading the sanitized version of WAP, not the one that is not sanitized.
One that everybody makes fun of.
The sanitized one, which is still bad, that she can perform at the Grammys, is what he read. You should read the lyrics to WAP before you make commentary that it's a reflection of what Black Americans are living through, or it's just somebody that's pushing a boundary. It's not that.
How do you explain the fact that like WAP was like a #1 like worldwide hit then?
Because what I said to you is that they are artificially creating artists at this point. There's no question. And by the way, the Diddy docs, which I found...
Artificially creating artists, even if that's the case, are they artificially creating listeners for those artists? What? Even if this artist was completely AI generated or something wild, it's not AI listeners. Candace is not even addressing the question at all. This is embarrassing. But also, I feel like Destiny could be hitting her a lot harder here with the economic angle. You could just be like, okay, fine then. Disregard the black struggle thing, because there are times that music does not adequately represent the black struggle, and there are issues with that as well. Fine. That aside, why does every time music has some kind of a sexual thing? Every time music seems to take sexual directions. Not every time, not every song, obviously, but why is it so common that the music industry includes sexual themes? Because that's what sells. This isn't just black culture subverting black culture.
Found to be a very compelling point was that Diddy said to the guy, allegedly, who was the producer, that if he was willing to engage in homosexual behavior with him, that he would get him Producer of the Year Grammy. Okay, so what does that tell you? It means that the entire system is artificial. And by the way, this is something that Kanye said 10 years ago, or however long ago it was, when he took the trophy from Taylor Swift and said, like, this is all fake. This is not even based on merit anymore. And that is my point. The industry is not based on merit. It's not based on capitalism. It is based on selling ideas. So it is, who do we want to artificially make the person that every black girl will look up to or who they will aspire to? And
so I can definitely understand that, like...
Artificially giving people Grammys, again, is not the same as artificial listeners. People listening, it is organic. Like, your claim that this is just a artificially created artist or something just doesn't hold up, because Destiny's claim was not that, like, well, they won a Grammy, so it's good. No, the claim was that it was a #1 song worldwide.
Maybe award shows can be rigged, or people can think different things about, you know, who's being awarded based on merits for the Grammys or something like that. But like, WAP was genuinely, do you think it wasn't genuinely a popular song, or do you think that music execs have the ability to manufacture that desire publicly?
The latter. So if you start playing something tons of times on the airways, and the latter, you can definitely make something popular. There are songs that I don't even like, that I've heard so much that I know every single lyric to. And I'm like, I don't even know how I know every single lyric to the song, but it's received this many plays. You put it everywhere. You award the person who invite them to bizarre circumstance. Like, there's absolutely no reason that Cardi B is invited to sit down and ask questions to Joe Biden.
So
in no scenario, unless you are really making an effort to legitimize this person and to make this person aspirational. Again, this is not an insult to Cardi. I actually think that personality-wise, she's got a ton of talent and she's interesting, and I've said great things about her on Love and Hip Hop, and there are elements of her that make her a star. But what I am saying is that a lot of that is manufactured, and I just don't see how anybody, when looking
Don't you think it's entirely possible or easily possible? So, like, I feel like there's like so many things wrong with this. So, one is, why wouldn't competing record labels start pushing talent that's actually popular that people want to hear? I think that would be a big question. The second thing would be, how can we explain the top-down domination of this type of media popularity through all of our reality TV shows, all of our TikTok stuff, all of our YouTube videos, and the music industry? And then how can you explain that all happening worldwide?
Sure.
Like, it feels like that to try to explain this through through people that are exercising control in these platforms would require more control than anybody has ever been able to exercise on any platform ever, and they're doing it like on a multi-country, multi-stage
it's just
level.
called, it's very easy actually. It's a very basic concept pertaining to governments. They need propaganda. Hollywood
She just is not getting it. Wait, how is WAP propaganda? The government needs a bunch of women to be hoes? What? Huh?
You should, for those of you that are watching this live, go listen to the conversation that Joe Rogan had with Cat Williams, where he talked about all of this. And he said, I know you think that you're being entertained. And this is somebody that comes from inside of the industry. And he starts talking about the Diddy stuff, the idea that in order to climb higher, you kind of have to engage in nefarious behavior, and how he was collecting all of this information, and he was speaking out about what was happening inside of the industry. And he said it is twofold. You might be being entertained, but they are making decisions about what will entertain you. And a great circumstance in which he presented that as evidence of that is transgenderism. And he asked hold on.
Okay.
He asked a question which should be answered. He said to Joe Rogan, and he laughed about it. He was like, a guy wears a dress on the red carpet, okay, and then the media tells you how great he wore the dress. And he's like, he said, tell me one situation where he didn't wear the dress wonderfully, when he didn't wear the dress in a way that was amazing. It's because they have all agreed that this is the narrative. And then he talked about the fact that the record...
Maybe it's what's actually like popular right now. Trans acceptance is like a big thing right now. Is there ever a scenario in which the dress wouldn't have looked good? No. Therefore, it's propaganda. Yup, that's it, guys. The government, the big evil communist plan, it has officially been launched. It's to convince us all that trans people exist and that they look good while existing.
Also own the publications that are saying that something is amazing or something is not amazing, and that is just plain old-fashioned propaganda. So you don't necessarily need to detach what we're talking about from your concept of what governments are interested in. It's always propaganda.
So I understand Cat Williams has said this. I also understand that Cat Williams was at one point in his life addicted to crack, and I think he's famous for losing a fight to a high school kid. I think this like benched his career for a while.
Okay, you can insult him, but it doesn't.
I'm not insulting him. I'm just saying that I don't know.
2 + 2 = 4. 2 + 2 = 4.
I'm not insulting him. I'm just saying that to like lean into his testimony, who also we would both acknowledge has a lot to gain by giving like incredulous testimony like this, like saying like, oh my god, these crazy things are happening, right? I don't know if I would just say, well, right, he does. You're the fact that you're talking about him and you're citing him and you know it, right? If anybody else was saying a similar thing, we'd say, well, okay, they're saying this because they have something to gain for it, right? He knows that this is going to be a hot take, and he knows that it's going to go viral if he says it, and he knows he's going to get a lot of eyes on him for it. So I think it's good to call that into question. I think the issue that I have when it comes to the accusation that everything is some top-down level propaganda is I feel like the conversation shifts away from the important stuff, which is why are people attracted to this type of stuff? Why do people vibe with it so much? Why are we replacing traditional, better forms of media or more thought-provoking, I don't know what you would call it, forms of media with this type of stuff? Instead of having conversations about the culture and the society, it's all fixated on some weird top-down plot to like control media consumption.
I think you just like to be contrarian because I don't understand the point that you're making here. Like, of course.
Wait, hold on, wait. Let me restate that. I'm sorry. The point I'm making is very clear. If I was going to I've got a almost 13-year-old son in a few days, okay? If I was to see that he's consuming media, my go-to would be like, hey, Nathan, why are you watching this? This is crazy. We need to look at something else. I need to, like, who are your friends? What are you looking at online? Like, we need to change our media consumption habits because this isn't working. I would never think, like, I think that the school is involved in disseminating media towards him and there's no way that we can change this. Because I feel like on your side of the story, people are basically like, we're hopeless. There's nothing we can do.
First of all, GG's just got a battle royale while watching this. Second of all, yeah, Destiny's right. Like her assumption that this is just all conspiracy is insane. And then that she's just like, you're being contrarian. Why? Yes, he's going to be saying things that are contrarian to what you're saying because he's here to disagree with you, lady.
No, it's not hopeless, but if you want to be able to do something about something, you need to be able to acknowledge the something, right?
Well, what was the thing that
you can't
do
make
about
it like it's a conspiracy. It's like, no, when I graduated high school, there wasn't a single trans kid. Now you've got like more than 50% of kids that think that they're other. Like that is obviously.
There used to not be kids that were gay, and now you have kids that are gay. Now that it's more accepted to be gay.
Propaganda. Clearly, there's just no. It's just not possible that you didn't exist. Maybe there was one person, and then all of a sudden everyone is.
Sure, I think it's okay to
that can only happen. That can only happen through propaganda, right?
Maybe,
They're
yeah,
suddenly being told it's an option. They're kids, right? You want to experiment, and you want to be different. You're looking for a way to stand out, and so you hold on. And in the classrooms, you've got teachers that are reinforcing this narrative that is, yes, top down, right? It's like Hollywood in lockstep with the Department of Education that is making these options available. If it was natural, like when I graduated high school, there were gay kids. There were lesbian kids. There wasn't a ton of them. It wasn't an identity. That's another thing. The identity thing
the identity
is very
is
new.
an interesting thing. I agree, for sure.
And so it shows you who are they emulating? Who are they copying when they do this stuff? Because it's an option. It's just being presented to you. It's obviously not natural if it didn't exist naturally. And
I agree, but
it existed for a very long time. First of all. Second of all, it doesn't even have to be natural for it to be something good or bad. Whether or not it is natural has no dictation on whether or not it is good or bad. Zero.
Culture is a very complicated thing.
Culture is not a complicated thing.
So complicated. I think governments
they are
pray that
deciding
they have the amount of control over culture that you think they do. There's no shot that anybody would be able to top down control that much stuff.
Like I said, there have been a lot of evidence that has come out, whether you're looking at the Jeffrey Epstein case or you're reading through the 72-page document for the Diddy lawsuit that suggests that the government is involved.
Even on the Jeffrey Epstein case, like what's suggesting government involvement here?
What do you mean? What do you mean what's suggesting?
Like what part of the Jeffrey Epstein case is like, oh my God, the government is like playing a part in this?
Well, the fact that he had ties to the Mossad and the CIA, and that when they raided his home, he had his face and about 6 different passports. Who can issue passports?
Sure, but when we look at
who can issue you a different identity?
I don't know about different identities, but for passports, I imagine you can get that illegally, or you can just get it from countries depending on citizenship status. But what I'm saying is that, like, for when we look at Epstein, right? Epstein was a billionaire, right?
Why was he a billionaire?
Why? Because of trading or whatever he did. I'm not really sure.
No, that's the question. Nobody knows why.
I don't know why. Yeah, but there's like a million different.
$1
Sure, there's lots of people where I don't know how they made their money, but to fill in the gaps of all of this with some.
No, you should always know how somebody became a billionaire. That's like a very easy thing. Like you shouldn't just be like, I became a billionaire, and you have no idea.
She's not listening. So again, it's if you don't know how they became a billionaire, you don't just fill the gaps in with conspiracy. That's the point. That's the actual issue.
I'm sure there are tons of people.
It's
who
like I sold the product. You know why Elon Musk has money. You know why Jeff Bezos has money. You should not say we can't connect the dots on how this person became a billionaire that was able to purchase an island.
Filings aren't always going to be public. That like, oh well, I can figure out exactly why this person became a billionaire. If they don't work in like public traded companies or something, how will you ever know? There's no way you're going to know that.
He did.
Then what's the question?
It's not a question. It's just nobody understands why Jeffrey Epstein or his brother have billions of dollars.
Well, you just said did he have a ton of shares in publicly traded companies?
What do you mean? Did he have a ton of shares?
Like when we ask, for instance, so here's a question. Do you know how Jeff Bezos made his money or how Elon Musk made his money?
I know that Jeff Bezos created Amazon, and I know that Elon Musk has created a ton of things. Tesla, you got Starlink.
Okay, kind of, so not really. Bezos made his money because of the appreciation of shares of Amazon that he had a huge stake in, right? And Elon Musk made a lot of his money. Initially, it was on PayPal and a couple of ventures, and then because he had a huge equity stake in SpaceX and Tesla, especially. That's where they made their money. Is ownership of stock of publicly traded companies. That's what I'm saying. We can look at those people. We say we know how they made their money. So I don't think Epstein had massive shares in publicly traded companies, did he? So he wouldn't have made.
Did you actually look into the Epstein case, or are you just because I can't tell right now if your thing is just to be contrarian?
Okay, hold on.
Why?
I'm being serious. No, I'm asking you because it seems like you're just like whatever your position is. I'm going to take the opposite. And I'm going to say something really quickly to try to say, well, how do we know? And it's like that's actually quite boring.
Sure,
you know what I mean? Like it's like, dude, like let's actually have a real conversation because tons of stuff is happening right now. A lot of stuff is being exposed, right? Mm-hmm. People are for the first time able to grasp a theory that finally makes sense, right? It finally makes sense. It makes sense that there is a blackmail ring operating in DC because we don't understand why we keep sending our politicians to DC and then it's like they completely serve anybody other than the American people, right? So when that Jeffrey Epstein case got exposed, and if you were following it and reading the documents,
I did follow it. I read the entire document, the 80-page report that came out from the government. Did a report on the prison where he supposedly got killed.
And you're realizing how many artists have stood up and said this exact same thing was going on. Now you have somebody that has filed something with proof saying it's going on, and then you just have like a Destiny being like, "Oh, what if it's not going on? What if it's not?
Okay, well, sure. So here's like
maybe WAP is just really that amazing. People just love talking about vaginas and like mopping the floor. It's like you can do that thing, but it's not interesting. You know what I mean?
Okay, sure. All right. Here's just an easy test question so I can get my bearings straight. What do you think about the 91 or so indictments for Donald Trump?
What do you mean?
Do you think that those are credible indictments and have credible evidence behind them?
Well, speak to me specifically about which indictment you're talking about.
So the Mar-a-Lago case.
I actually haven't followed that one, so I'm not going to push back on that one, but I can tell you the ones that I have followed and I've given an answer on. Like, obviously, we've never seen the media or the justice system go after any president in the way that
doesn't matter. You could say the same about P. Diddy. You've never seen the media go after a black artist.
I didn't say it did. It didn't.
Oh shit! This is a good point on Destiny's end. Nice.
But he's ever done something this?
But I haven't.
Before.
You're so contrarian that you haven't even let me finish. You haven't even let me finish my sentence. You said that doesn't matter. It's like, what do you?
Because you gave a point that was irrelevant.
I know, but like, I don't understand what you're objecting to.
You said the media's never gone after somebody like this before.
You asked me a question. Mm-hmm. I started to answer it by saying the media has never gone after anyone like this before.
Okay.
And then you just said it doesn't matter. It's like, can I answer the question? Or you just gotta like contradict right away?
I'm not contradicting. I'm just fighting the crazy narratives that prevent anybody from having a real analysis of any of the things going on. But you can lay out your whole thing about.
All right, then since you know my narrative, even though you asked the question, I wasn't able to answer it.
You can
answer
the question.
I'm glad that you defeat the narrative. No, we're good. We're good. I'm not gonna have you ask. I'm not gonna actually have you ask a question and then cut me off and say that I'm parroting a narrative when I haven't even told you what my opinion was. That's not you being interesting. That's you being obnoxious.
I think that you're trying to avoid answering the question.
By being cut off by you?
I said you can finish it if you want.
You're trying to avoid answering the question. Quite literally, I was trying to answer the question and you cut me off. So we're good on that. We can move on and talk about something other than Trump and his 95 indictments.
I think it's 91 or 92.
Okay.
Okay, well, what are we talking about that won't get you as triggered?
Okay. I just honestly, like I said to you in the beginning of this, I said I am an open book.
I'm just curious what you think about the Trump indictments. Do you think that a civil suit that's filed where there isn't a grand jury that looks over it, there's not like it's not like a DA case, not like federal prosecutor, do you think that the Diddy stuff is like rock solid? Do you think that's really, really, really important to look at? But then when we look at indictments that have gone to grand juries that have then issued warrants or subpoenas or whatever, I was just curious if you think that the credibility on that side is as heavy as the P. Diddy stuff.
I was really happy to answer that question. Would you like me to answer it?
Sure.
So I would say that you are
She's getting so defensive all of a sudden. She didn't like being called out for the random ranting and rambling.
comparing two cases that are not similar, and I'll tell you why they aren't similar. In the case of Diddy, you have somebody that has no power that is filing this and producing evidence to say that the justice, essentially the same thing that people that defend Trump are saying, the justice system is corrupt, right? That these people are responding and being motivated by things like the...
Isn't the person releasing all these images and whatever, don't they have an incentive? They're getting a ton of people clicking on their blog or whatever. They're getting a ton of attention now because of this.
LAPD's involvement that night in writing a fake police report, if his allegations are true, and he had photos and said that he was the person that said call 911, and then seeing the media report on it and lie about what happened at that studio is very scary. It's scary if unless he faked these blood photos, which is a plausibility, but it shows you that there are people that are sitting at the top that have a ton of power, right? So the people that are acknowledging that and then also saying that those...
We already knew these. Like, of course there are people who have power if they're at the top. We know this.
Same people, that same network of individuals that can make up allegations and make them go away with the media or stay and make it a big deal because of the media are defending Trump and what's happening to him. So this isn't, they're actually, these two things are not at conflict with one another, what's happening with Diddy and what's happening with Trump. It's actually, they complement one another in terms of what we're saying. Now, the only case, I followed two of them, the Fannie Willis one.
Well, can I ask a question about the LAPD thing?
Yeah.
So if we're worried because in the P. Diddy case, it looks like the LAPD at the very top might have been involved with something, if that's the claim. I mean, isn't Donald Trump at the very, very, very top? If he's the president, isn't he literally like the top guy in the world?
He doesn't control the courts. And that's, I mean, hold on. The point of exactly being is that if they feel that they have a person that they cannot control, so if there is this blackmail ring that exists, and it's starting to look like there is, definitively, and I very much believe that, and I am not ashamed to say that it is pretty much the only thing that makes sense in Hollywood, is what I read in these documents, then it would be clear as to why it is that when you are existing outside of the ring or you are somebody that cannot be controlled, you are somebody that is attacked. Now, again, we have heard many artists, and I like that we have this example in Hollywood because we don't need to go down the path of Trump derangement.
Wait, so Trump has all these indictments because he went against the mainstream? He barely even did, you know? Like, he gave tax cuts to a bunch of rich people. A bunch of people on the top benefited from Trump.
When you say that you've lost faith in the court system, does that mean that if a guilty verdict is returned, you'll think it was a good case, but if a non-guilty verdict is returned, are you going to... Oh, okay. Well, why would you preface with I've lost faith in the court system?
Because I have seen some circumstances in which things that should not happen do happen, and a good example of that, if you want to talk about the craziest case that I followed in a long while, it was the defamation one, where the jury awarded, she was asking for, what, 10 million, and they awarded her for 800 million just to like bankrupt Trump, and her allegations had expired, but they created a new law in New York so that she could bring them forth about something that she says happened in 1996. What is that whack lady's name? She was so...
Wait, you're talking about when they extended the...
E. Jean Carroll.
Statute of limitations to allow people to sue people relating to...
And then funded to reopen this. They changed the law, and then she got funded by the person who is I don't want to call him a Democrat operative, but he obviously is very involved in the Democratic Party. The person that started LinkedIn is the one that funded.
There should literally be no statute of limitations on sexual assault or anything. That's ridiculous. That there even was a statute of limitations there to begin with. Maybe is it possible that they got rid of it and then Trump suffered as a result because he had allegations of an assault? Couldn't that be plausible? Do we know that this happened because of Trump or because they wanted to get Trump or something? This is just Candace rambling about nonsense. The last 20 minutes are the best part.
So
it's interesting because it feels like the most, like we would say the most mind controlled people in America are actually like young white college kids. And those guys have lots of literacy and lots of education. So I don't know why we wouldn't send black people into like the college and turn them woke instead of...
Actually, no. But that's actually interesting. I'm glad you brought up college because if you look factually speaking, Americans are getting dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber, and yet we have never handed out more degrees, which is interesting. Like, I mean,
when you say Americans are getting dumber, what do you mean?
What I mean, talking about in terms of passing tests, passing exams, the literacy level in America, everything is actually going down. And like SAT scores, everything is going down. And which is why they're now like, let's just abolish the SAT. The sort of a thing that they're
sure, which I think they've gotten rid of and brought back in some places.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I don't know if the same people getting illiterate are the same people that are going to college and getting degrees.
Yeah, we're handing out degrees, and yet people think they're educated when actually they're just brainwashed bots, and they're quite stupid. They are stupid, and that's the magic.
Wait, so people have a degree and they are still illiterate? That's impossible. How would you get a degree if you were illiterate?
Of a college degree is that it makes people think that they're smart, right? And it's astonishing. You really should examine that, how every decade within America people are getting dumber and dumber and dumber. And one of the things that my colleague Matt Walsh did, which is really incredible, is he read a letter that was written by a civil rights soldier who's like 17 years old, 18 years old, had no education, and it sounded like poetry. Like, unbelievable the way people used to be able to speak and write before we created the Department of Education, which in my view it is there just to exist to turn you into a mindless bot that will serve the government's interests.
I mean, we can say that, but the reality is aside from the cultural thing, on the economic side, America has like one of the most productive workforces, maybe the most productive workforce in the world.
When you say productive workforce, what do you mean by that?
Productive in an economic sense is how many like units of things are produced by 1 hour of labor from a U.S. worker. And I'm pretty sure U.S. worker productivity is higher than it ever has been. I think that continues to climb. It's one of the biggest complaints about lack of increase of wage growth, for instance, is that wage growth doesn't seem to have tracked to the massive increase of productivity of the average American worker or the median American worker. I just think that like if you wanted to control, it just seems strange that we've got two completely and totally diametrically opposed ways of controlling society. One is to make black people specifically, I guess, illiterate so that they are easier to manipulate, even though I seriously doubt these people even vote that much. And then the other is to make people the most literate by sending them to college and have them read.
They're not the most literate. That's what I'm telling you. They are not the most literate.
You think people that graduate with college degrees can't read well?
Yeah, what I'm telling you is yes. That's what I'm telling you. They're not the most literate.
What would I look up to verify that? If I wanted to see, like,
you got to do the research in your own time.
I have done the research.
Like, I'm happy
to.
True. What do you mean it's not true?
Just what I said. As an owner of a college degree, median wage comparing to that person
is like, you can go to college for 4 years and spend $100,000 getting a degree in gender studies. Please do not tell me that you believe that person is educated or highly literate.
More than half a degrees awarded are awarded for STEM-related things. Number one. Number two, $100,000 is way over the average we're paying for any degree.
Well, that's what I paid. So I'm just.
What did you go to school for?
Wait. Illiterate and uneducated are two different things, Candace. Are you illiterate? Illiterate means you cannot read. Unintelligent means that you are dumb. Like you.
And you, as far as I'm concerned, you can look this up, but if you are going to school, you're probably spending in America about $30,000 a year, minimally if you're out of state.
Isn't the average amount
just
of...
look it up. You got Google, right? What state are we in?
Isn't the
what state are we in? Miami? Let's look up University of Florida. Pardon. What state are we in? Florida?
Yeah.
Go to University of Florida out of tuition rates. Because what do you mean? $100,000 sounds about right.
Yeah, but we're looking at... So one, this is for...
$28,659 out of state.
Correct.
$30,000.
Yep. So one, this is the out-of-state tuition.
Yes, that's what I
Number
just said.
two, hold on. This is the sticker price. Nobody pays this for school. You've got Pell Grants. You've got different types of student aid. You've got tons of different scholarship initiatives. Very few people actually pay.
I'm right, but you're trying to make me wrong.
Well,
so I paid that price.
What I'm
I
saying
paid that
is
price, I paid back my loan. So you're not going to convince me that very few people are paying this. My sisters paid that price and they paid back. So you're just saying like, and yes, granted my school was more expensive. It was I think $35,000. There you go. The average $29,000.
So if we look at
just
the
say
average,
you were right,
sure.
Candace.
So 51%.
You're not going to get hurt.
Yeah, so 51% of bachelor's degrees students graduate with an average of $29,400 in student loan debt. Right, so that's only 51% of people, I guess, that acquire debt, and then their average debt is about $29,400.
Are you? I don't get what the point is of you doing this.
The point
are you trying to say?
The point I'm saying is that one, the sticker price for an out-of-state tuition school is not what I would use as the median price you need to pay for a 4-year degree. Number one. Number two, very few people actually pay.
We didn't talk about that because I said this is the median price. I said it is utterly absurd that people are spending $100,000 to come out with a degree. We weren't talking about. We weren't debating the median price.
Sure, but number one, you're going for out-of-state. If I'm in-state, my tuition is $6,400.
I literally said out-of-state. I actually said out-of-state.
Yeah, but why do I care about that number?
I don't get where you're going. The point of when we started this conversation, I was just saying that there are individuals.
She's losing it. She's slipping up. Well, I don't get why that's important. Because what if you want to go to the college in your own state? It's less money now, right? It's like being like, look at the medical cost out of your network. Oh my God. It's like, okay, but why do if it's out of my network, what if there's something in my network?
That are spending $100,000, right?
I don't know what that has to do with anything.
In gender studies.
Yeah, but we're talking about, I'm sure, and I could probably find people with $1 million student loan debt. They got an even dumber degree than gender studies and basketball or whatever. But in general, that's not the cost of a college degree. And in general, college degrees confer huge wage premiums onto the people that earn them. These are
no, they don't. And that is the reason why you have so many young women that are, and this is why, I think that what you actually do here
Oh no.
is harmful. And I'm going to tell you.
Okay,
No,
hold
I'm
on.
going to
Let me finish
explain.
real quick. Hold on,
Let me
I'm sorry,
explain.
because I've done a lot of research on college grades and a lot of research on
No.
education, and every single thing that you're saying sounds really good on like a culture war perspective.
not
When you look at an
culture
actual
war.
economic perspective, when you look at actual firms that hire people, and when you look at the actual median wages given to people that even have some college
Biggest
education,
regret-
all
biggest
of
regret
it,
is me going to
all
school.
of it, that's great for you, but for the average American, that's just not true. None of these numbers are found on average. You will never find data that supports the idea that high school earners on average are out-earning college degree earners, or that 90% of people are going to
Go
school
to
for
trade
basket
school.
weaving.
Do not listen
Why
to
would
him.
you go to
Please
trade
learn
school?
a
Trade
real-
school-
learn a
trades
real
on average-
craft.
Why would you go to trade school?
Please go to trade school. Please do not end up. And I
Why?
talk about this on stage the whole time. And I'm on the universities. I did 2 universities this year. Please, if you do not know what you want to do not go spend a ton of money putting yourself in debt to go into society already having debts that you need to pay off to make $25,000 a year in a career path that you didn't even know that you wanted to
Why would a
take
four-year
because
degree
you're
earner make
listening
$25,000
to
a year?
destiny. Like, and by the way, I am.
She just,
Thank you, saying she's
look
right.
at
Destiny. I am.
this. Look at this. She can't handle like not just having free reign to ramble, and then her brain just begins to melt. You can hear it happening. She's like, just go to trade school. Why should you go to trade? Aren't trades like going down right now? All the available evidence, by the way, shows that college educated individuals out earn people that don't go to college. That is literally a fact. Okay. And she's just like, no, don't listen to him.
So right, please go to trade school and don't listen to this and listen to me because I bought into this rhetoric because I was in high school and it's gonna be great. You're gonna go and you're gonna take a blah blah blah. And then when you get out in the real world, it's gonna be great. You're gonna have better positions. You're gonna make more money. It is a lie.
What'd you go to school for?
I don't care what website he is looking on.
you go to school for,
to tell
Candace?
you that is a lie. The overwhelming majority of people, I'm so glad people in the chat are saying that I am right because the overwhelming amount of people are shocked when the real world then smacks them in the face and that lie, that dream that was sold to you by your guidance counselors in high school, that it's gonna be so great and you're gonna be able to make more money, and you just start to realize that it is absolutely crap. And I really would like to say, do not disrespect people that go to trade school because I just
disrespect anybody
so,
who goes to trade school. What are you talking
like,
about?
It's just like
Wait, why are we virtue signaling on this? You shouldn't go to trade school. You should go to college and make more money.
That's not true. It's just not true.
What do you mean it's not true?
That's not true. You can like quite literally, you can be the person that goes to trade school and you will make so much money doing jobs that actually bring value to society.
Computer
People that
programmers
are-
don't bring value to society.
people that are-
Mechanical engineers don't bring value to society.
I am not,
People that-
if you want to be a mechanical engineer,
I like
yes.
how she's accusing Destiny of insulting trade workers or something, even though he never did anything even remotely similar to that. And now she's unironically insulting people that go to college. She's just like, yeah, they don't really do anything that's helping society.
But if you know what you want to do and you know you want to be a chemical engineer, I'm not saying nobody should go to college. I'm saying too many people are going to college. They are putting themselves in debt for things that they don't even know what they want to do, and they get out into the world and they can't make any money, and it is a struggle, and they are suffering. I'm watching these girls. I know that people on the right like to mock these girls who are crying on TikTok, who are saying like, you know, I got to college and here's how no money that I can make. I didn't know this. I actually feel bad for those girls because we have to just stop lying to people about what college is. It's been inflated.
When you look at like black community
the worth
stuff,
of it.
isn't in the black community, isn't one of the reasons why women are starting to out earn black men is because they're going to school and they're going to college and they're actually getting degrees and they're getting real careers? Isn't that one of the biggest contributing factors?
I don't know that.
Okay.
Maybe you should do your research.
Okay. Final question.
I think, by the
You
way,
got-
I think
yeah.
women, by the way, all across the board are graduating at higher rates than men. But I do want to say, because I do want to make a point about
And
what you
they're
do.
out earning men as a
Because
result.
I did see that you did a
Candace.
video and you were like,
How is she not getting this, you idiot? If there are more women out earning men, and the reason for this is because there are more women going to college, then you can see that college is directly correlated with earning potential. Therefore, going to college likely can increase your ability to earn.
you know, I've seen a lot. I've been through a lot. I've lived through a lot. Very proud of myself where I've ended up. And I'm trying to provide people the shortcuts. And I'm trying to tell you that, yes,
Well, that's good that you're proud, Candace. That at least somebody's proud of you, you know?
I understand that as a young woman, if you jump onto OnlyFans, you can make money and you can make money very quickly. But I am also telling you that if you do that, you will, the overwhelming majority of people, can you find an exception? Sure, will regret that sort of a lifestyle. And,
I think I'd probably agree with you.
to these young people
Yep.
that are listening to you doing the like, YOLO, if it makes you happy, don't. I'm telling you, like, throw this out. It is trash. Like,
I agree. You shouldn't do
absolutely
OnlyFans as a young
should not
person.
be aspiring to
You shouldn't do OnlyFans as a young
open
person.
relationships.
You should go to college
being
and
a
get a degree
prostitute,
instead.
somebody that's just holding up a, you know, a mirror to tell you that you're great and you're doing amazing. Like, you don't need that.
Mm-hmm.
You're not great. You can do better, right? Your life is worth more. There
Go to
are
college,
rules
get
that
a
work.
degree.
College is
Do your
every
stuff.
single person that I went to school with is not using the degrees that they paid for.
What did you go to
But
college
they
for?
actually, journalism.
Isn't that what you're doing right now?
What do you mean?
Like journalism
Oh,
stuff?
you probably don't know my backstory. So because my family was poor,
Wait. Wait. Everybody you know, you're saying from your own personal experience, you're a journalist and you went to school for it.
You can always go to college. You can go later, try to figure out what you're good at, get an internship. I hire people that are right out of high school because I don't just believe this. Like, there was a young woman that now works for me who was like, I don't really know what I'm doing here. I kind of just want to be a mom. I was like, do not spend. And her out of tuition rate was $50,000 for a Tennessee school.
Okay.
And so I hired her. I mean, I'm not telling people, like I said, I tell people how I actually live and what I actually believe. And I don't know that you do that. Don't justify women acting like whores.
Well, I don't justify trying to prescribe lifestyles to people.
What?
Don't justify trying to prescribe lifestyles to people.
It's not prescribing a lifestyle.
Of course
it's just,
it is. When somebody said that they would be happy not having kids, you were like, oh, she sounds like a conceited bitch or something.
That's not what she said.
That was the TikTok clip you were responding to.
That was not what she said, and I can tell you exactly what she said.
She was trying to go on
I said there was
vacations
absolutely no reason to make a comment that suggests that she was actually being insulting people that had kids. It wasn't just one video. She makes multiple videos about how great life is if you don't have kids. If I was making videos with my kids saying about how great life is if you just, stop being a loser and get married, people would come after you because people hate the traditional lifestyle on display.
Wait, but that's literally what you guys say. Get married, have kids. That's the only way to go. Otherwise, you're a loser.
No, we do not. You're just making up words that have
so
never
maybe
come
that's
out of my mouth.
So wait, so if somebody said, if there was a young woman and she's like, I'm 20, I think I'm gonna go to.
Also, how is showing how great life is without kids the same as shaming people for having kids? There is such a rapid difference there. It's actually kind of sad how stupid she is.
Career and be whatever. I don't think I want to have a family. I don't think life's for me. You would say, okay, well that's fine. You should make the choice.
No, I would say that's completely normal at 20 years old. That's
so then they should change their opinion later on. What if she was 25 or 30? She's like, no, I don't think I want to have kids. Would you be okay? That's fine.
If she was a 20-year-old person and she was saying that I don't think that I want to have kids, then what I would say is that's pretty typical because you're 20 years old and you haven't yet had the biology thing happen to you.
30?
Which, like when they say that your biological clock starts ticking, it's very real. Because when you get into your mid-20s, you have a totally different feeling.
So if a woman is 25 or 30 and says, I don't think I want to have kids, I think I like my career, I'm going to stick with it, you'd say, okay, that's fine. It's your choice.
Yeah, as long as that person isn't trying to, and by the way, I think that person would probably be, it would be unusual. Like it wouldn't be the majority of women, I think, do want to have families and want to aspire to family, and that's fine. But when you try to create a brand of it and you say things like, oh, well, if you have kids, then you can't just smoke pot and stay in bed and be naked all day. This is actually something that like Seth Rogen just said.
Okay.
What you're doing
Sounds
there is
awesome.
you're actually trying to.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
You're 30. How old are you? You're 35 years old.
Yep.
Okay, so what is that? What do
I do?
Like if you were 20
let's
and
say
you were
I'm a
saying this
millionaire,
stuff.
I travel the world, I get to research and talk about whatever I want, I get to talk to cool people like you and other people, I live in Miami in a high rise for $5,000 a month. I mean, I think my life is pretty okay. I mean,
But I'm saying like, what are you doing when you're trying to sell to people that being a hoe is cool, smoking pot, saying
I don't necessarily think that being a hoe is cool.
Are you going to age out of that?
Because
you're a 35-year-old man, right?
And
you're kind of doing the like, I'm a college dorm kid and I'm trying to make everything sound cool. But I just want to point out the fact that you're a 35-year-old man and your words should matter and they should have weight. Like I said, if you were 20, I'd be like, I get it. When you're 35. Say things with conviction. Say things that have meaning.
Things with conviction, yes.
And
like when I asked you, what would you recommend to a woman at 25 and 30? I didn't just start rambling about what a 20-year-old should do and how biology, blah, 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 blah. I would say exactly what I would tell a woman at 25 or 30.
Yeah, I know, but your behavior, and I will appreciate that people that are younger won't understand what I'm saying until you hit 35, which is, I'm going to be 35 this year.
Okay.
You're acting like you're a college dorm kid.
Yeah, and your catty insults towards people online make you seem like a high school mean girl. Okay. I mean, like, what do you mean? Like, we all have our things.
But you're selling to them things that you know aren't good. So
what do you think I'm selling to them?
If you were a 25-year-old,
like
when I'm on the Whatever podcast and I'm surrounded by women that are in their 20s and they're saying like, the whole life is good. The reason why I said to that girl that I'm going to pray for you is because I know that she's going to have a different perspective when she's older. So I'm not upset by that. I don't feel like that needs to be attacked when those young girls are around me and we're talking about all of these topics. When I'm sitting with a 35-year-old man, okay, and
what do you think I'm selling people?
And you know better, okay?
Wait, what do you think I'm selling people?
Well, what I said when you were defending the lifestyle of being a hoe, why are you doing that?
I don't think I defend the lifestyle of being a hoe.
You did a whole video basically saying that none of my points of me trying to tell these women that they essentially, you can do something better, you don't have to sell your body. This was your like snazzy video comeback to it. Why are you making a comeback? Yes, you can make a video and be like, why can't someone do heroin? But why would you as a 35-year-old man want to sell something to someone or make it seem okay or cool or relevant when you know it's harmful to them? I don't get that because of your age.
So I don't understand. I don't know what your takeaway from the video was.
Where did he ever say like endorse being a hoe? Can anybody get like, where did that ever happen? That sounds like she's just again making shit up.
So if there are researchers that give you like talking points in my videos, but generally what I talk about is when it comes to lifestyle, you have to analyze both sides of things. If you grow up incredibly religiously conservative and you are like shamed out of sex and you don't have sex with anybody your whole life because you're super, hyper cognizant of your virginity and all of these like weird things, and that's like coming from an unhealthy external place, it's like, oh, well, maybe that's worth exploring. On the flip side, if you grow up like hyper liberal and you've like 20 guys by the time you're 20 years old and you just want to bang everybody and you've got like weird associations with men and everything, I'd say, hey, you should probably slow down. It's probably not healthy. I just encourage people to like explore honestly, to have like conversations with themselves, with their parents, could be with priests, could be with therapists, could be whatever, and to kind of figure out like what works for them and don't get pushed into one direction from a culture side. It could be the left encouraging people to be way too promiscuous, or it could be the right for people that are shaming people for being promiscuous and saying that, well, this one lifestyle of family stuff is going to biologically be suited towards you as you get older. I think both of these are equally stupid because it just pushes people in the other direction.
So you don't believe in anything, is what you're saying.
Is that what you got from that?
Well, you're not committing to anything.
I believe in actually thinking for yourself. That's what I think. I think that
She's so stupid. She's not able to hear and process simple words.
exists in this like paradigm where if you're 100 people by the time you're 20, probably not healthy. If you've never had sex before and you're 30, probably not healthy. And that you should probably like try to gravitate towards what are like human norms, and then what are things that make you happy, depending on your culture, depending on your geography. And then you kind of like explore in there. And don't be shamed out of exploring from one side to the other. Don't be pushed into something because somebody like Candace Owens or somebody like Stephen Bonnell tells you that you have to do a particular thing, but just like kind of
I
explore
don't tell
and figure out
people
things.
that they have to do a particular thing, but if I see somebody
course
that's doing heroin, I'm not going to be like, you know, it is whatever, and it's just like whatever. You're just
Do you think that
doing
heroin is comparable to recreational sex?
I am, quite frankly, I actually think a woman, as the one that I sat across from when you were critiquing this video, who says that she slept with up to, what was it, 20 men per night? Yeah, it's just as bad. And I know that that has to be hurting her soul. So I look at her as a human being.
Hurting her soul? What if she just has a different lifestyle than you?
Doesn't.
Completely. No, she doesn't. You know?
No, what do you mean? You know, she's telling you, she was very honest, actually. And that's why I appreciate her, because she was very honest that for her, it is just about money. Okay. But when I see that individual, when a young woman is saying that she'll sleep and see up to 10 to 20 clients per night, that's a broken individual. And it's just as when you see somebody who says that, you know, they're doing heroin or doing this, they don't need the cool guy at the party to be like, yeah, man, it's whatever. Like, it's like, no, you actually like structure, you need somebody to say to you, you don't have to do this. There's so much better potential within you. You are young. You have your entire life ahead of you. Let's figure out what it is that you're great at. I understand the economic concerns. It's a really tough economy and it's easy money, but there's other things that you can do to make money that will give you better self-value. And so that's why I say that I think that what you're doing as a 35-year-old man is you're lying. You're just lying to
Do you think
people.
I'm telling women on average that 20 guys
when you make videos
idea?
and you're replying to conservatives who are rightfully saying that this lifestyle is not good, which should be abundantly clear to every single person, yeah, what you're trying to do is lie in a clever way. And ultimately, like I said, if you were 20, I'd be fine with it.
What?
But when
First of all, I don't know why if I was 20, why that would make you fine with it.
Because
you'd have the same influence in your audience regardless.
Because your
Number
brain's
one.
not developed when you're 20.
Number two, so what? Your brain's always developing as you grow.
No, your brain develops when you're 25, 26 years old. And so when you see a 20-year-old and they have a bunch of positions, I don't hold them to it. I think
don't think that's
you
with
have
brain
time.
development. I think that's
you're
with
gonna
life experience. I think as you grow
no, but
older,
like
you
literally
experience
factually, I don't know if you want to Google this, but your brain develops when you're 25, 26.
If you really want to Google it factually, the 25 number came from one study that was done like 30 years ago where they only measured brain development up to 25, and the reality is the plasticity of your brain and every other structure of your brain continues to grow into your 30s. That's technically where that number comes from. It's not true. You can look it up later if you want. The 25, 26 thing is a misnumber. It's not actually true.
Well, like I said, if you were 20,
Sure.
I would accept. But there is such a thing as objective truth, and people that shirk and pretend that there's not, and like
Objective
everybody can
truth
just do
relating
whatever
how
they
you should
want.
live your life?
It's about things that are harmful to people. Like objectively speaking.
So I'm curious,
like,
wait, what is the upper bounds on recreational sex that you think is harmful or not harmful?
when you're selling your body and sleeping with old.
I'm not asking that. I'm just saying, what is the upper bounds on recreational sex that you think is like healthy for a human being?
Well,
like if you go past this, you're like clearly over the line.
I'm not gonna say to a person, this is a number that you should sleep with, and this makes
Okay,
you
well, don't
bad.
accuse me of believing in nothing. I'm not saying in a position where you only attack the most
specifically talking
extreme
about the
people.
whatever
Yeah,
podcast.
I'm going to attack the same people that you do. If some woman is not saying like, oh, you 20 guys a night and do OnlyFans at 18, I'm going to say in general that's a pretty wacky, that's a pretty out there position. I argue with tons of people over this. I don't encourage people to start OnlyFans.
What are you trying to do? What purpose are you trying to fulfill? When you as a 35-year-old man see me sitting down with these young women trying to say you don't need to do this, you don't have to do this for money, and you like attack it and try to be like, Candace is just a bitch, or like whatever, like she's blah 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 blah, she's just being a high school mean girl. It's like, no, I am trying to tell these women that they are worth more. And when I said to that girl at the end of it, which I don't believe you showed, that I will pray for you and that you can do much more than this, that came from the heart.
Well, listen, I disagree with everything you say. I think you're harmful to America. You think I'm harmful? That's fine.
No, I didn't say you're harmful
to
to America. I just said that it is harmful when you do things like that. You know, when you know something's wrong and you still try to like find a way out. And I just think that we can all acknowledge that selling your body is not a good thing, and we should encourage people to do it.
Okay. If people want to find you, or if you want to direct them to anything that you're working on, where would they?
Listen, if you are a super not Candace Owens fan, if you're like the biggest non-Candace Owens fan, I really challenge you to not believe the headlines that you've read and just watch one episode of my show. You don't have to commit to anything. Just watch one episode and actually listen to what I say out of my mouth and not how it's being interpreted by other people. And I know I've gotten so many emails from people saying,
Okay, this was a pain in the ass to watch. If you want to support the channel, please consider becoming a member today. Members get early access to videos, access to all the stream VODs, and exclusive access to emotes as well. So if you'd like to support the channel, become a member today.